grab your ball, lie on your back. You're going to place the ball just above your knees, closer to the thighs. Lengthen through the spine and ground down through your anchor points. Back of the head, shoulder blades, lower base of the rib cage, sacrum, and soles of the feet. On your inhale, lengthen through the spine and allow the rib cage to widen. On your exhale, co-contract, lifting through pelvic floor, lower abs, and spinal extensor muscles. We'll inhale again, lengthening through the spine. And on your exhale, co-contract, squeeze gently into the ball as you curl your pelvis north. Inhale, tip the pelvis towards the back of the heels, going south. We're going to rock the pelvis back and forth, north and south, releasing the lower back. Getting a little movement of the pelvis on top of the heads of the legs, so we're getting movement through the hip joint. This is a nice thing to do if you've been sitting a lot. Also after any exercise like hiking, that kind of stuff. One more time in each direction. North, and then south, and then back to center. And then we're going to go east to west. So imagine the teeter-totter across the pelvis. Left side of the pelvis is going to dip down toward the floor. Inhale through center. Exhale, opposite side dips down. As the pelvis rocks from east to west or right to left, use your inner thighs, squeezing into the ball gently to keep your legs stable as the pelvis moves. We're going to do this one more time to each side, and then we're going to make the movement bigger. So the next time that you come back to center, squeeze into the ball with upper inner thighs and float the legs up in a tabletop. Lengthen through the spine. Keep your pelvis rooted down. You might even walk your pelvis away from your rib cage. Arms are going to come out into a T position. Keep the squeeze in the ball as you rotate your pelvis to your right. The left side of the pelvis lifts up off the floor, and you might roll all the way to the outside of your right hip. Then come back through center and do the same thing on the other side. Pelvis rocks all the way to the left, stacking the hips if you're coming all the way to the outside of that bottom hip. We're going to go from side to side 2 more times on each side. And one more time on each side. And then come back to center. Keep your spine, keep your pelvis stable as you lower the legs, hinging from the hips, bringing the soles of the feet to the floor. Lengthen your spine if you need to. We're going to go into our abdominal work, and we'll take some breaks in between to get a little bit of a stretch through the hips. Clasp your hands at the base of the skull. Lengthen the spine. Elbows extend out at a 45-degree angle from the armpit. On your exhale, co-contract. Keep your head heavy in your hands as you peel the upper body up off the floor. Inhale to come down to the shoulder blades. Exhale to come up again. 3 more here. And 2. On this last one, curl up as high as you can, hold here, and then rotate to your left. Come through center, rotate to your right. 4 more times on each side. Make sure that your pelvis stays stable as the upper body rotates from one side to the other. One more time on each side. Come back to center and then let your head rest on the floor. We're going to take our legs in a single leg stretch. So you'll draw your legs in a tabletop. Take the ball into your right hand. Right now we're just going to hold the ball. We'll just do the leg movement without the ball first. Right knee draws in a chest, left leg reaches long. And then switch to the other side. Left knee draws in, right leg reaches long. Alternate legs, drawing one knee in towards the chest, other leg reaching as far away from you as possible. One more time on each side. And then the next time you draw the right knee in, you're going to curl your head up. Take your right hand, draw it behind the back of the right thigh to pass the ball to the left hand. We're going to make figure eights around the legs as we alternate, drawing one knee in towards the chest and the opposite leg reaches long. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then you can do it the other direction. So you're just switching the direction in which you're doing your figure eights with the ball. Curl up a little higher if you can. See if you can draw your knee a little closer in toward your chest. And 3 more here. 3, 2, and 1. Nice job. Draw your knees in towards your chest, rock from side to side. If your hamstrings are tight with this next exercise, keep a bend in the knee. Or if you feel like it gets into your lower back, you'll keep a bend at the knees. If you're feeling really good, long through the back of the hamstrings, relaxed in the lower back, you're going to send your legs straight up towards the ceiling. We're going to do that same movement, but we're going to be scissoring the legs. So on your exhale, co-contract, curl up as high as you can. Right leg draws in towards the chest, left leg draws down towards the floor. Pass the ball behind the right thigh. Figure eight, just like we were doing before, alternating, drawing one leg in towards the chest, opposite leg drawing down towards the floor. Only bring the leg down to the floor as far as you can keep the pelvis stable. We want to make sure this doesn't go into the lower back. 3 more, and then we're going to change the direction of your figure eights. 3, 2, 1, and then switch directions. This is more of a neurological challenge sometimes than a physical one. Curl up a little higher. Pelvis is stable. That's really important. And 3, 2, 1 more. Yes. And draw your knees in towards your chest. Rock from side to side. Very well done. Take your ball, place it between your knees, draw your legs in a tabletop. You can either keep your arms resting on the floor or clasp your hands at the base of the skull. I'm going to demonstrate it that way. You can always add variety and choose different variations as you go. On your exhale, co-contract and curl up, and you're going to hold here. We're going to hinge from the hips, lowering the legs down toward the floor and coming back up again. The goal here is to keep your spine and pelvis stable as you hinge from the hips. So only bring the feet down as far as you can without letting your lower back arch or your pelvis tilt. 3 more here for 3, 2, last one. Bring the soles of the feet down to the floor and then bring your head down to the floor as well. Arms are going to be by your sides. We're going to go into some bridging to stretch out the hip flexors. You'll also be working your glutes and your hamstrings. Ground down through the soles of the feet. We're going to do articulating or rolling bridge. On your exhale, co-contract, curl the pelvis north and roll up 1 vertebra at a time. Coming all the way up into the full height of your bridge and then rolling back down 1 vertebra at a time. Coming all the way back to neutral spine, neutral pelvis. 2 more like this, rolling up. And rolling down. And 1 more. Rolling up. Rolling down. Well done. We're going to take the ball, place it either between our knees or our feet. You'll keep your legs in tabletop if the ball is between your knees. You'll straighten the legs if you have the ball between your feet. We're going to go into corkscrew. Arms can be in a T position or a low V, your choice. A little harder if you're in a low V position. We're thinking about doing pelvic circles, but the movement's going to be much bigger, and it's okay if one side of the hip comes off of the floor. On your exhale, co-contract, Curl the pelvis north and sweep the legs around. We're just going to make one circle here. Coming all the way to the top of the circle and then switch directions to go the other way. We're going to do 5 circles in each direction. Switching directions each time. Make sure you get all the way back to the top of the circle. We've got 3 more in each direction. Keep squeezing into the ball from the upper inner thighs to engage the adductors. One more circle in each direction. And last one. Good. You're going to grab your ball, come on to all 4s. Take the ball, place it between your knees. We're going to go into a little hover. So from this position, before we lift the knees up off the floor, just squeeze into the ball with upper inner thighs and then release. And you're also very much using your glutes here. Squeeze and release. 3 more. Squeeze and release. And 2. And last one. All right. I like pressing down on the tops of my feet. If that bothers your feet, you can curl your toes underneath you. Either way, lower belly draws to spine. Make sure your lower spine stays nice and long. On your exhale, co-contract, squeeze into the ball, press down into the tops of the feet, and lift the knees to hover above the floor. You want your knees to be as close to the floor as possible without them actually touching. We're going to hold here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. If you wanted to do more of these, you could. For this particular video, I'm going to pause there, but just know that you can do this as many times as you'd like. I'd like to get a stretch through the hamstrings. We're going to keep the ball where it is to keep the inner thighs activated. Curl your toes underneath you and press back into down dog. This is going to give you a nice stretch through the back, through the legs, all the way down to the heels. Let your neck relax. Nod your head from side to side. One more breath here, reaching sits bones back behind you. And then gently bend the knees, bringing them all the way down to the floor. We'll remove the ball, placing it off to the side, and we'll take a child's pose here. So I like wide-legged child's pose. You can choose whatever you'd like. You're drawing sits bones to heels, walking your hands out in front of you, letting the forehead rest on the floor. Take one more breath here, and then gently come out of your child's pose, coming up onto all 4s. And then one last thing I would like for you to do is to lower your pelvis down and press into your pubic bone, getting length through the spine. So right now I have my hands right underneath my shoulders. I like being here because it makes me work through my triceps because my arms are actually not able to straighten here while staying rooted through the pubic bone. If this feels like too much work for your triceps, you can always come into Sphinx pose, press down into the palms and the forearms, and then draw your chest forward, still rooted through the pubic bone. Glutes are engaged, lengthen through the spine. This is giving you a nice stretch through the front body after all that work we did, curling up, doing all that ab work. So I just want you to stretch it out before you move on with your day. One more breath here. And then you can come out of this however you'd like. You might just roll to one side. You might come up onto your palms. I kind of like to come from this position, bending the knees, keeping my hands where they are, clasping my fingers together. And then I'm staying rooted through my I'm staying rooted through my elbows and my forearms. And I'm just pulling my sits bones back behind me to give myself a nice shoulder stretch. Your choice if you want to add that in or not. And then gently come to a seated position. It might be kneeling, cross-legged. You could stand if you prefer. We'll close out together. So it's a nice time just to connect back with your body. Inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. Exhale, bring palms together and to heart center. Nice work. you.